men shouldn't have to deal with that stuff and women shouldn't have to deal with our stuff. Everyone should have the right to their own body.
Do you think men should pay child support?
I mean, it depends. If a mother decides to give up the child, then no. But
no, she chooses to keep it unilaterally. Let's say
the man says, I don't want it. The woman says, I do want it. No, I don't think the man should have to pay child support.
You do recognize, though, that under the current system, every single state, despite the man's wishes, say he doesn't want the child in each instance, the woman can force him through the state to pay child support. And if he doesn't, he ends up in jail
and
eventually.
I don't think that's fair.
If he didn't want to have a child, why did he ejaculate inside her?
That's not because people get pregnant by accident. People get pregnant by accident all the time.
Pull out.
If he gets her pregnant and she says, actually, I want to keep it, and he says, no, I really don't want to keep it. I don't have the money for that. I don't have the time for that. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I'm dumping you. And she decides to keep it on her own. She's responsible for that child. He should not have to pay child support.
It's not the case, though.
Two to tango.
We can talk about what should be.
And that's sad. Like, I don't know why. Do you want me to, become the president and change things? That would be a difficult thing for me to do. All I can do is advocate for what I believe in.
I mean...
and I'm doing that right now. I don't think men should have to pay child support if they make it clear before the woman gives birth, I do not want this child. If he doesn't know about the child, any of that, he should not be forced to pay child support.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I suppose I would extend maybe, I don't know if this is an olive branch to you, Marin. I don't know if you've seen how there's this article recently about how the Democrats aren't able to reach men. I don't know if you heard about that. They're struggling to capture male voters. The Democratic Party. Are you a Democrat?
I don't really. I'm kind of unlabeled.
Well, did you vote for Kamala or
Yeah, I
Trump?
voted for Kamala.
But
I'm not against Republicans. I'm purely against Donald Trump.
Okay, that's fair enough. I think that, and you're also a pro-choice, right?
Yes.
You're in favor of abortion. You know what could actually be a compelling argument to get a bit more men to be pro-choice, but also to lean a bit more left, or at least more Democrat.
Is that men shouldn't have to pay child support?
I think if you make the argument that attached to securing abortion rights for women, you were to say, in instances where men didn't want to have children, they could do something called legal paternal surrender, where they say, I'm relinquishing all paternal rights to the child, and in so doing, I'm not financially or parentally obligated to the child in any way. Now, this would be sort of like...
Then the government has to step in with will help with
food
guess. Stamps and all that. That means we're all paying for it. The taxpayers are paying for that baby.
Sure. But I think, anyways, my position, if we're talking about what is, in any state where women do have abortion rights, I think men should have a corresponding right to not have any sort of parental responsibility, which includes child support.
Yeah. One of my friends personally had a baby with a random girl. And he went to court. He went to fight for this child. He wanted that child. He helped her. He has a child now. So there are men who want to take care of their kids, even good men out there that want to help out.
No, but he's just saying, imagine you're a man and you get someone pregnant.
Well, he did it. That's part of him. That's still his child. That's still his DNA. That's still a part of him. Why would you not want to take care of something that is you?
That's why women get abortions, because they're not ready to have a child. They don't want to have the child. They don't feel physically or emotionally or financially ready to have a child. If a man doesn't feel that way and the woman wants to keep it, the man should be able to not have to take care of the child. Even if the woman wants him to or not. That's like trapping him.
You should be considering all those things before even having sex, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, already.
Yeah, but also I just don't think it's right to just have the men relinquish their rights so easily. What if the dad just wants to be a deadbeat dad? He just simply wants to escape all the responsibility after impregnating the woman.
When the woman can have a choice to not let that dad into the life.
When he chose to have sex with this woman, he should have considered there's a possibility of pregnancy. And,
are you pro-choice or pro-life?
I think I'm pro-choice.
Okay, but hold on. But the thing you're going to have to contend with is people who are pro-life are going to make those same exact arguments towards women the moment of conception.
But the thing is,
But why? Okay, but so hold on. To be consistent, though, if you're saying, well, hold on. Let me frame it like this. Let's say the man doesn't want to he's not ready to be a father. he's not financially ready. Or here, let me change it. The woman is not financially ready to be a mother. Would you say that under those circumstances, it's okay for her to have an abortion?
I mean, I think this goes to the autonomy of a body. So it's women's choice whether they want to keep the child or not.
But I'm just asking about the reasons why. So you might even say whatever reason, maybe there's no reason, she just wants to get an abortion. You'd be fine with it, right?
Yeah, I think it would be fine. But of course, maybe there's some internal discussion between the men and women.
But, okay, so you would agree, though, that a woman who wanted to get an abortion for the following two reasons. She's not ready to be a mother, and she's not financially ready.
Yeah, that's very plausible.
That's good reasons.
Yes.
Okay, but so then why are you saying if men make this similar argument, I'm not financially ready, I don't want to be a father, why do you then say, tough luck, you should have kept it in your pants, you shouldn't have done that? Why don't you apply that same that same
Like what I said, that men should be allowed to have an out, just like a woman does with an abortion.
Well, it's interesting when it comes to women, like when it comes to men's responsibility, you guys are basically like Bronze Age pro-lifers. You should have kept it in your pants. You shouldn't have had sex. Not you, but that's the argument these two are making. They're saying, oh, well, you should have thought of that before you had sex. Why can't I use that argument for women who want to get abortions?
But why is it also fair for women who want to keep the child? The women could also be financially unstable, and why is it her sole responsibility to raise a child? Because when you go through pregnancy, you develop this natural attachment to the children. So some women, they may feel like it's homicide to get an abortion. So I think like the men, they could simply use it as an excuse, attributing it to their financial distress to not pay for child support. And I think this will create a lot of legal loopholes for guys to just not take on the responsibility they should.
But I think, look, ultimately, I don't know if you're going to share this view. If from the pro-life perspective, they would consider this murder. If you're getting an abortion, they consider it murder, right? So why are women allowed to murder their children, but it's not okay for men to abandon their children?
I mean, murder and abandonment are two different things. Like
What's
murder,
worse?
Of course, murder is taking away someone's like life.
When does life begin?
Oh my God.
I mean, that depends on how it's defined medically. But I guess
life begins when you breathe.
When
the heartbeat
life begins
when the heartbeat is detected.
Okay. When's that?
I mean, I have never gone through pregnancy, but I guess depends on the trimester. You have to ask someone who has been a mom.
You think life begins
when the baby's out?
No.
Once it's out. So you're fine with abortions up until birth?
No.
But if it's not a life, why can't you abort the?
That's not what I mean.
But you said that's when life begins.
That literally.
I think it's at 12 weeks is when the cutoff is, but some states have lowered that to 6 weeks, which a lot of women don't even know they're pregnant at 6 weeks sometimes. Obviously, in all states, it's illegal to get rid of the baby after a certain amount of time because it's like a full-formed child. Mm-hmm. And I think that is accurate. I think that should stay a rule. You know, if you're in your second, third trimester and you're trying to get rid of the child, that is murder. However, I also agree with you. Like, if a woman wants to keep it and the man says, I'm not ready, the man should be able to not be involved in the child's life and should not have to pay child support. But also a woman should be able to get an abortion before a certain time if they feel the need to.
But I guess I'm arguing the whole, like, they're pro-choice, but also men should still be responsible. That's where I'm confused.
I just think it's cruel on the woman to take on the child care responsibility after the child is born. Like the men, they can probably just come up with excuses of not being financially able to take care of the child, but then they will still be able to afford like video games, like drinks at the bar, other things.
My issue with that statement is if a man went to the woman right when the baby was detected, right, like when the woman could still get an abortion, and expressed to the woman, I cannot be the father of this child, I don't want this child, I don't want to be involved, and the woman still decides to go through with it, she is taking on that responsibility. And it should not be put all on the man at that point. If the man says, I'll do it with you if you do it, and then takes that away when the child's like a year old, then it makes sense to like go to court and say, you need to help me because you said that you would. However, if he expresses in the beginning, I do not want this child, then it is then the woman's responsibility to take care of the child if she decides to have it. But I do think she should be able to decide to have it or not.
Yeah, but also I think like from a morality standpoint, it's just really sad to see a man willing to give up on his child, not willing to establish any sort of connection.
But on a legal level, if you want women to have the right to have an abortion, you should also allow men to have the right to walk away.
Pacey George, thank you.
Pacey George.